Hi, guys. I just wanted to bring Sarah on here today. She's a licensed mental health professional, and I thought she could give you some tips to work through anything that you might be feeling at home related to everything that's going on right now. And I know Sarah through my sister in law and brother. So, hi, Sarah. Why don't you
Hi, how are
tell us
you?
a little bit about yourself?
So my name is Sarah Poquette. I'm a licensed mental health counselor. I have been in the counseling field for about 5 years now, and I have a wide array of experience. I used to work at a chemical dependency rehab center, and then I transitioned to a sorry a community center. So I worked with more of a community setting with all different individuals ranging from 5 years old all the way to adulthood. And then I am currently working in a high school. So I'm working primarily with adolescents, especially those that are dealing with the school closing and still trying to coordinate services for them via whether it's video, a phone, a combination of both, until they're able to start being seen back at the school currently.
That's great. And I saw that you posted something on your Facebook about anyone being able to reach out to you and talk to you if they needed anything. And I really respect that you're trying to help as many people as you can because, as in my profession, I can't do a lot of things right now. So I'm just trying to help the community as much as I can.
Yeah, and I think that's a part of the reason why I put out that status, because being a licensed mental health counselor, the services and the resources, there's still a lot being offered, but it's a lot more difficult for people to still get either those services offered to them, whether there's a long wait list or whatever there may be. So, I just wanted to do my part as much as I could to be able to help anyone in the community, whether it's that they wanted to talk to a professional counselor or just be provided any tips and resources that they could be offering to themselves that they may not know of or have been a little bit uncomfortable or just not even aware of, that I would just want to, address with people so that they have that opportunity.
Right. And I can imagine you're seeing the whole spectrum of things from anxiety to people are sad or isolated or scared. I mean, tell us a little bit about what you see.
So yeah, like you said, I think that there's been a wide array of symptoms, and it's kind of like you said, like a spectrum right now going on because this is brand new to everyone. Whether it's students that I do typically see that are dealing with the school closing, parents that are dealing with the school closing, so having to almost, I would say, like do in school, I mean, homeschooling for their children, adults that are either out of work or working from home. And so it's definitely been a spectrum of people having symptoms of like anxiety, stress, restlessness, definitely sadness, a little bit of, minor depressive symptoms that I think that there are ways to combat that. I think that this is brand new to everyone and a brand new thing for people to adjust to, but there's, more positive ways to kind of transition easier to this change that's happening in everyone's lives right now.
Absolutely. And my goal for having you on here was to try to speak to a greater population. I'm going to post this on my social media pages because I know that there's so many people out there that are having some sort of feelings and no one is alone, obviously. So, what can you tell everyone listening? Like, give us some tips for at home, what they can do for a better mental state or to increase the positivity, or you're the expert. So,
So I would say one of the number one things I've been talking to my clients about that I've also been instilling myself, so it's both a personal and a professional recommendation, would be to establish and stick to a routine and a schedule. Whether, like I said, it's kids or adults. If you're working from home or you're doing schooling from home, waking up at the same time every day, whether it's the same time that you would normally start your work day or your school day, or even if are sleeping a little bit because you don't have as much to do, still sticking to a schedule, sticking to even a regular sleep schedule and regular eating habits, like simple things that we don't realize affect us every day when those are not going as regular routine as we once were doing. Along with that, I would say that taking breaks from watching the news, I think it's important to stay updated, but also it can cause a lot of anxiety. And, just constantly seeing these things that are still negative, and just constantly being bombarded with that. If you're one of those people that watches it constantly, it's going to take a toll on your mental health and your mental state. Other tips that I would say is try to stay active and exercise, especially if you're already a very active person. Like I said, it's sticking to that routine still. So if you are a person that usually goes to the gym before or after work or after school, or that was your even lunch break type of thing, is going out for a walk from the office or something, I think it's still really important to do those type of routine things, whether it's an indoor exercise or even outside, still practicing social distancing, but whether it's taking a walk with your dog or going on a run, or going on a hike when the weather's nice and you're still able to practice social distancing, practicing things even at home that you even didn't have much experience with, that you wanted to start getting into, whether it's that you were a runner, but you wanted to try doing yoga from home. You also utilizing this time. I feel like we live in a society where we always say like, oh, if I had enough time, I would do X, Y, and Z. And this is the time that we can. And so allowing yourself to be creative with that time allotted. So whether it's you always had a hobby that you wanted to start doing, and you can go on YouTube and even watch like a tutorial about it, whether it's like something like crocheting or knitting, or if you're a baker or a cook, going into the kitchen and start trying out a new recipe that you never really wanted to try before, or you didn't have the time to do. And it's just really important to utilize that time and feel a sense of productivity, because I think that's what happens when people start feeling really restless and anxious, especially those that even are out of work right now, or that they don't necessarily feel like, their livelihood, like, 8 to 10 hours of our day every day are utilized or are focused on work. And when you're not able to do that, you start to get restless and you start to get antsy, and you also might not be able to feel as productive or motivated as you once were. So finding other ways in the meantime to still get that sense of, purpose, even a daily purpose. I think that the other thing is being able to have time, with the family that you're family or supports that you are able to have contact with, but also setting time for yourself. I think this is a perfect time for people to get comfortable with like more self-independence and being able to, feel comfortable with themselves. Yes, everyone binges Netflix or Hulu or whatever, but also like this being a focus on themselves, like I said, allowing their creativity to come out and being able to feel comfortable with having that time to themselves, whether it's sitting down and reading a book or going on a walk, these things that maybe a lot of people didn't even feel as comfortable doing on their own because they always had other people to do it with, but kind of like a new focus and center on themselves as well.
Yeah, that's great. All of that. I mean, our family is so routine driven, and I've found that we just have to stick to that. And as far as you said, like with recipes or workouts, anything, it can all be found online. And if you're out there and you are feeling down in the dumps, like in my opinion, I'm not a licensed professional, but you just have to start small. Like say I'll work out for 20 minutes in the morning, or I'll bake this one recipe today, and then you feel good about yourself after doing it.
Yeah, I would say it's almost like a mental checklist. And some people actually write one out, and they can give themselves that little check when they do something. And like you said, we live in a technology-based world, so we have so much access to so many different things. So even staying connected to people is really important too. I've been seeing so many things on social media of people doing like game nights still online, and staying connected to those loved ones that we aren't able to be physically close to right now, because we have to practice social distancing and we have to take health, protocols. And so I think that's really important. We should use these advances that we have technologically to our advantage, whether it's watching a new YouTube tutorial or watching a workout online that you normally wouldn't have done, or that's when your Pinterest boards can be to your advantage. And also staying connected to people, whether it's doing a FaceTime call or texting or all these things that maybe we didn't even use because we were like, well, I can just go next door and talk to them. But using those to stay connected, because I think that's what we also need. We still need that as social outlet. And if we're not able to physically have it with people, then we can do it virtually or whatever way that we feel comfortable with.
Yeah, we're so lucky for FaceTime and Zoom and all that. And actually, one of our coaches said something how it should be called physical distancing, not social distancing, because we're not. I mean, we have so many outlets to be social and not be
Yeah.
isolated, and it's good to see people taking advantage of those. So,
Yes.
what other apps are there out there that you can suggest to maybe help people out right now?
So the two that I actually find are most recommended either by therapists or that I know that people practice themselves are Calm and also Headspace. Headspace is an amazing one. I don't know how many of your followers or people who watch this are providers themselves, but there's this thing called an NPI number that if you're a provider, just a health provider in any way, everyone has an NPI number, including myself, and you can actually input yours and you can get the premium one, the premium version of it. But on these apps like Calm and Headspace, they have all these amazing exercises and activities. There's meditation, there's physical exercises, there's more breathing exercises, and kind of self-help tips that can really help you when you're kind of even feeling stuck. There's other apps out there that you can like gauge your mood every day to see how it's going. And so some people utilize both. You kind of go into app when they can gauge their mood and see where they were a couple of days ago, and then also utilize something like Headspace where they can go into there and also do a self-help activity for the day. And then there's also a lot of other apps out there that are like daily journaling. A lot of people are into. So, if you even do see a therapist or a counselor and they're not able to provide you, this the type of resource that you're usually used to, like in-person sessions, but they're doing a virtual one, it's really also important to journal, whether it's whatever way that you feel comfortable with, and journal how you're feeling. A lot of people make like, a list of what they're feeling and why, and then whether it's with a professional or even just with a peer, and they do a Skype or a FaceTime session with their friends, they can be like, so can I talk to you about something? So it's just a really good outlet to be able to share and, like I said, utilize the technology that we have for all these different things to kind of keep us balanced and once again like fall into that routine that we're so used to. Because I think that with this quarantine and everything going on, that so many people's routine is interrupted, and some of it is because we don't have a choice, but other times I think we do. I am a big advocate for free will. So if you can't, if you feel like your routine is being disrupted, it's also on you to establish that and maintain it yourself.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. This is some good information. And if anyone needs someone to talk to and they aren't already established with a relationship, what do you suggest? Where should they reach out?
So there's a lot of different resources. So if you are already working with a healthcare provider, a mental health counselor, I would hope that at this point your mental health counselor would be able to point you in different avenues. But if you are not, I have been still continuing with my clients via either phone, text, or video sessions, and those are all being provided. And then all agencies are now starting to do hotlines. I know that my agency in and of itself, they're doing an instant intake and instant phone or video sessions for any counselor that is not in session with their caseload already. And then there's a lot of hotlines. The state has a hotline. There's also a lot of providers that have been volunteering their time with New York State. Cuomo put out a hotline and a website link a couple of weeks ago for any that are able to volunteer their time. So I think that a lot of people are utilizing those services even if they aren't able to. And any agency in your area should be offering some type of hotline, whether you're an established client or not, whether it's a hotline for crisis or just to be able to have a short kind of vent session or full session with a licensed counselor.
Awesome. Well, again, thank you so much for taking the time out of your morning to chat with us. And hopefully this helps anyone that might be feeling any down in the dumps or anything at home. And I really appreciate it.
No problem. So if anyone has any questions, my name is Sarah Poquette. I work for an agency called Arise, and I can also be emailed if needed at Sarah, SARAJASSNER @yahoo.com.
That's great. And maybe I can put your email in the post or something like that so people can find it.
Okay, thank you.
Have a good week.
Thank you, you too.
Bye.